9000! Oh yeah! Not Ringo.
Hey guys, Dalek44 here. I need no introduction, but I got one anyway. And welcome to my third instalment of The Villain Files. You know, very few people can be said to have changed the course of history. But how many people have ensured the safety of their own race until the very end of time itself? Created life itself? Have been responsible for the death of millions. Tonight's villain has done that, and more. This is Davros, creator of the Daleks. The story of Davros starts not in 1975 when we first met him in Genesis of the Daleks, but it starts really in 2006 when his childhood was revealed in the audio drama I, Davros. Davros was born during the 1,000-year war between his people, the Khalids, and the Fouls. Even at a young age, Davros himself wanted to be a scientist, but his father and everybody else around him wanted him to be a soldier, like his father and all their fathers before them. Only Davros' mother encouraged him to follow his passion and become a scientist and help win the war. As soon as he was old enough, Davros joined the Khalid army and was ordered to build weapons that would help them win the war. Even though he saw it as a waste of his time, he progressed with it anyway to show that he was cleverer than all the idiots. And one battle where he'd also be joined with his right-hand man Nida left Davros heavily wounded, deformed, lost one of his hands, and the use of his legs. But he managed to survive his injuries and build himself a life support system and an artificial visual sensor. When Davros realized that the weapons used in the war were causing his people, the Khalids, to mutate, he tried to find a way to make his people survive to the bitter end, by placing these mutants in a metal tank, creating the ultimate killing machine, and he called these creatures the Daleks. But Davros also made some changes to their genetic structure. He removed all their weaker emotions, like the feeling of pity, meaning that they'd hate everything that isn't Dalek. The Fourth Doctor first encountered the evil scientist when he and his companions were sent to Skaro to avert the creation of the Daleks. Davros had only just created his first army of Daleks when the Doctor arrived. After an interrogation with the Doctor, Davros learns that the Daleks would survive on to the future, but fail in some of their missions. Very keen to know which missions the Daleks failed in, Davros forced the Doctor to tell him every defeat from the Daleks so that he would program his creations so that they would know their errors and how to avoid them. Even though the Doctor told him that the Daleks were totally evil, Davros refused to accept it since they were created to survive, and the only way they could survive was by becoming the dominant species in the universe. So Davros saw them as the power of good, since they would end all wars. But after the Doctor questioned him about creating a virus that would destroy other forms of life and whether he would deny their use or not, Davros soon realized that with his Daleks he could control the universe, and so made a quick decision to say that he would do it, as he believed that the power would send him up above the gods. But very suddenly the Daleks turned on their creator, following the orders which he gave them, killing all the Khalid scientists as well as their creator Davros. Man, he should have seen that coming. In his first appearance, Genesis of the Daleks, Davros was portrayed by the late Michael Wisher, who had previously voiced the Daleks episodes before this, and he brought so much intelligence to Davros from years to come, and for everybody who had followed on from him. Brought in a cool, crisp, Nazi, fundamental intelligence to the character, which would later be carried on by the many other actors who will portray the character. Sure, it seemed like Davros was gone for good now after his Daleks exterminated him, but he wasn't going to lie around dead for long. Or sit around dead, since he's sitting in a chair and can't really lie down. But you get the point. Centuries later, it was revealed that Davros was not killed by the Daleks, but they just damaged his primary life support systems, and he was placed in suspended animation while his secondary backup circuits repaired him. And it was at the same time where the Daleks were at war with another robotic race known as the Mavellans. They found Davros as they needed him to help them find a way to win the war against the Mavellans, since the two were in a stalemate. Davros came up with a plan to blow up the Mavellan ship before it lives off so that his Daleks would win the war. But once again the Daleks' creator was defeated by the Doctor and imprisoned in a suspended animation chamber before being taken back to Earth to face trial for his crimes against the universe. In the second appearance, Destiny of the Daleks, Michael Wisher was unable to portray the character again due to his acting commitments, so he was replaced by an actor called David Goodison, who followed on as Davros. Still as mad as ever, even though he had to work in Michael Wisher's mask, which was obviously too small for him, David Goodison brought so much intelligence to the character that Michael Wisher had before him, and still as mad as ever. Many years later, Davros was released from his space station prison by a small Dalek force aided by humans. The Daleks required Davros to help them find an antidote for a Mavellan-created virus that has all but wiped them out. Believing his creations to be treacherous, Davros lied to the Daleks and instead conducted experiments on them to make him obey them. But as soon as the Supreme Dalek found out Davros' secret plans, he sent some Daleks to exterminate him. So Davros had to unleash the virus on his Daleks, killing all the Daleks on the ship. But the virus started to affect Davros too, and he had to escape. Years later, the Sixth Doctor discovered that Davros had survived the Mavellan virus as he had an escape pod which took him to a planet called Necros. During his time on Necros, he was known as the Great Healer, since he had conquered many diseases that brought many victims to him. But none of his victims expected to come back as Daleks. While the high intelligent humanoids became Daleks, the lesser intelligence became food. But Davros didn't bother to tell anyone that they might be to their own relatives, since he believes that that would have created what he thinks is termed consumer resistance. During his encounter with the Sixth Doctor, Davros had his hand blown off by a laser held by Orseal, and eventually his original Daleks captured him and took him back to Skaro to face trial. Davros somehow managed to escape his creations and created his own army of Daleks, which he called Imperial Daleks. Davros travelled to Earth in the 1960s to find a Time Lord artifact called the Hand of Omega, as he planned to use it to turn his own planet's sun into a source of unimaginable power, so that he and the Daleks could destroy Gallifrey and become the Lords of Time. It was unlucky for Davros that the Renegade Daleks, as he called them, led by the Supreme Dalek, were also after the Hand of Omega, which led to a civil war between the Renegade Daleks and the Imperial Daleks. The Imperial Daleks, however, had the upper hand against the Renegade Daleks, as Davros managed to obtain the Hand of Omega, but the Seventh Doctor tricked Davros into destroying his own planet, and the mothership as well. But thankfully, Davros managed to escape in an escape pod just before the ship was destroyed. During the 1980s, Davros was portrayed by an actor called Terry Malloy, who brought so much intelligence to Davros that the previous actors had had before him, and he'd even introduced Davros' insane laugh, which would follow on with Davros for years to come. Many people considered Terry Malloy to be the best classic Davros, and who could blame them? He just brings so much energy and insanity to the character. He's especially brilliant when working with Peter Davison, Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy. And he's even appeared at many Doctor Who conventions, including the 50th anniversary convention which I attended. Hell, I even got the guy to sign my Davros collection box set. After coming very close to death countless times, Davros has always found a way to survive and escape. And he'd be sure to survive until his Daleks became the rulers of the universe. And he managed to survive into the Time War. Davros continued to survive into the Time War, where his command ship flew into the jaws of the Nightmare Child. The Eighth Doctor attempted to save him, but from both perspectives, Davros was killed during the first year of the war. Years later, Dalek Khan, the last member of the cult of Skaro, used emergency temporal shift to travel back into the Time War and save Davros, at the cost of his sanity. Davros then started extracting cells from his own body to create a new army of Daleks, which must have put a considerable amount of strain and pain on his body. And once again Davros managed to survive that. He then created a space station for the Daleks known as the Crucible, where he started stealing 27 planets to power up his new invention known as the Reality Bomb, a space cannon that could destroy all of reality. Davros and the Daleks started stealing several planets, including Earth, Klon, the lost moon of Poosh, Pyrovilia, and the Adipose breeding world, to name a few, as they could be used to power up his reality bomb so that he could destroy all of reality and make the Daleks the only life forms in existence. But Davros wasn't in charge of the Daleks, as that role belonged to the Supreme Dalek. So while the Supreme Dalek commanded the Daleks, Davros was left away in the vault with Dalek Khan, who at that time had gone insane. By the time the Doctor found all the planets as well as the Crucible at the Medusa Cascade, Davros had captured him and all his companions that he travelled with and brought them to the Crucible so that they could watch all of reality being destroyed. After Davros had captured all the companions, including Donna Noble, he used his electric power from his newly built robotic hand to electrocute Donna, which opened up the Doctor living inside of her after the Meta Crisis when he touched the Doctor's spare hand, which was full of regeneration energy, and she used her Time Lord knowledge to shut down the reality bomb and make all the Daleks lose control of themselves. At this time, Davros learned too late that Dalek Khan came to realise what the Daleks had done throughout time and space, used his prophecies and influence to ensure the Daleks' destruction once and for all. The human clone of the Doctor used this prophecy to destroy the Crucible as well as the Dalek fleet. Even though the 10th Doctor attempted to save his arch-enemy, Davros furiously refuses the Doctor's help and accuses him of being responsible for the destruction, while proclaiming him to be the destroyer of worlds. And for a while that would be the last time we ever saw Davros. After the Dalek Crucible blew up in the Battle of the Medusa Cascade in 2009, it seemed like Davros was gone for good. But we all got a surprise when he returned last year. Nobody quite knows how Davros survived the destruction of the Crucible. Some say it was an emergency escape pod, though that seems too obvious. I personally think that he used emergency temporal shift, because since he's the creator and experimenter of the Daleks, it is possible that he would have an emergency temporal shift like the cult of Skaro. Eventually the Daleks found Davros, or vice versa, and rebuilt the planet Skaro, where Davros started experimenting on the Daleks for his own benefits. Apparently Davros was dying of old age, and at that point he remembered seeing the 12th Doctor when he was a child. It was revealed that Davros was surrounded by handmines on the planet Skaro during the war with the Fowls, and the Doctor intended to save Davros before learning his name. After remembering that the Doctor left him to die, Davros seeks the final revenge on the Time Lord, and employs Colony staff to bring him to Skaro. When the Doctor is brought to Skaro, Davros forces him to watch the Daleks kill Missy and Clara Oswald. In anger and fury, the Doctor forces Davros out of his life support chair and steals it to control the Daleks. But unfortunately for the Doctor, Colony staff's agents, which were dozens of snakes, hid inside Davros' chair and brought the Doctor and the chair back to the infirmary where Davros was waiting. After a long discussion, Davros learns that the Doctor saved Gallifrey during the Time War. Feeling surprisingly happy for the Doctor, he opens his eyes for the first time in years to see the Doctor one last time with his own eyes. And feeling like it's his final moment, Davros asks the Doctor if he was a good man and if he was right to create the Daleks. The two eventually put their differences aside and watch the sun rise together. But as it seems that Davros is about to die before the sun can rise, the Doctor gives him a little bit of his regeneration energy to heal him, only to discover that Davros was actually tricking the Doctor into giving him his regeneration energy so that Davros could feed it into himself and his Dalek army. This was part of Davros' plan to fulfill a prophecy on Gallifrey which spoke of a hybrid, as Davros believes that the hybrid was part Dalek, part Time Lord. Davros succeeded in having regeneration energy being put into every single Dalek. But what Davros didn't realise was that the Doctor also put some of his regeneration energy into the dying Daleks that were left to rot in the sewers of Skaro. And as soon as they were revived, they rose up to the city and attacked all the other Daleks. The Doctor and Clara managed to escape Skaro, leaving Davros, the Daleks and Missy to die, though it is more than likely that Davros somehow survived this near-death experience, since if there's one thing he knows how to do, it's survive. So you could bet that he'll be back to bring hell to the Doctor's life once again. During the new series, Davros was portrayed by actor Julian Bleach, who brought back all the intelligence to Davros that the previous actors had done before him. He even introduced Davros to a new kind of insane lab compared to Terry Malloy's lab, and I'm really hoping that Julian Bleach plays Davros throughout the new series, because at the moment there's no other actor I'd rather have as Davros. To me, Julian Bleach is the best Davros around. As well as the TV series, Davros has also made appearances in comic strips, audio plays including I, Davros, as I mentioned earlier, novels, and he's even appeared in a theatre production called The Trial of Davros. In 1993, he was portrayed by the original actor Michael Wisher. Then when it was redone in 2005, he was portrayed by Terry Malloy. In 2008, Julian Bleach appears live as Davros at the Doctor Who prom, announcing that the Royal Albert Hall would become his new palace, and the audience his obedient slaves. Davros also appeared in the new LEGO Dimensions game in the Doctor Who level pack, entitled The Daleks' Extermination of Earth, where he was once again portrayed by Julian Bleach. Davros is one of the most interesting villains that I've seen in my time. He's very intelligent, he believes that he's a good man even though he's gone completely insane. He created the Doctor's worst enemies of all time, and his intelligence is somewhat equal to the Doctor's. Davros has become one of my all-time favourite villains since I was first introduced to him in Genesis of the Daleks. Not just because he created the Daleks, but I think that he makes the perfect enemy for the Doctor. Both their intelligences are somewhat equal, and even though they're mortal enemies, they do give a level of respect to each other. And as well as talking as enemies, Davros likes to talk to the Doctor as men of science, since their intelligences are somewhat equal, and they could exchange ideas to each other. Davros is just one of those villains who doesn't see himself as an evil guy or a ruthless dictator. He just sees himself as a guy who wants to see the survival of his own race. And the only way he could see doing that was by putting them inside a tank. And all those things is what makes Davros one of the greatest villains of all time. And that's the lowdown on Davros for the third Villain Files installment. Keep checking out my channel for more Villain Files very soon. I'm Dalek44, and I'll see you next time, folks. I love this sonic screwdriver.